Heroes of the Dorm.
Other teams just don't have the chemistry that we have.
You really have to be in sync with your team and know what everyone's doing.
I don't want to just win the region, I want to win the tournament.
Hello and welcome back to Heroes of the Dorm Atlantic Coast Region, an exciting addition to North America's premier collegiate gaming competition. My name is Paul Inverum Toddkill, and I am joined by the one and only
Albert Halloran Haley III, but we're not alone. Later on, we'll also see Brian the Source Mitchell. We like to call him the professor around here. He'll give us the rundown on the analytics.
Absolutely. Heroes of the Dorm is a competition where students compete playing a video game, Heroes of the Storm by Blizzard Entertainment, all for their shot at winning fully paid college tuition.
Here at the Atlantic Coast region, we also like to highlight and emphasize the stories and journeys of colleges you know along the South. We'll go behind the scenes, have some interviews, and find out what kind of challenges and stories these guys have throughout the regular season of this tournament.
Absolutely. And speaking of the regular season, let's take a look at our standings. As you can see, things are shaking out. We've got a few weeks to play under our belt, and this week we are very pleased to be announcing we're going to be covering University of North Carolina up against Pittsburgh. This is going to be an exciting matchup because both these teams haven't had the strongest start, but there's definitely a chance for them to recover.
There's a lot on the line for both of these teams. They haven't had the most success coming out of the gates, but this is a 5-week regular season. If they're going to turn things around and try to have a big showing, make it into the playoffs, things have to turn around now. Both of these teams have a lot on the line.
We're going to sit down with UNC Hots and hear their stories, as well as talking to Anthony Lee, a Taekwondo master, and hearing how his traditional sports experience gives him an edge in digital combat. We're going to have our matchup between UNC and Pittsburgh, that and more when we return with Heroes of the Dorm, Atlantic Coast Region. Don't go anywhere.
When we play together, we see what each other can do. Like in game, we're like, oh my gosh, you just popped off.
Hello and welcome back to Heroes of the Dorm, Atlantic Coast Region.
Next up, we'll meet the team representing the collegiate basketball powerhouse UNC. Let's find out what this new and scrappy team had to say.
To have the chance to represent such a great school, hey, we're UNC, we're gonna pound you into the ground, that's a great feeling. I'm Alex Swing. My position on the team is flex.
My name is Baron Barker, and my position on the team is support.
I'm Easton Portman. I'm more of the warrior on the team, kind of the tank.
I'm Luke Wheeler. My position on the team is mainly flex.
My name is Jason Yu. I am filling in the role that the team needs at a particular time.
My name is Anthony, and on the team I'm main DPS. My job is just to do as much damage to the other team and make sure that either the heroes have to back off because they're low HP or just outright kill them.
Anthony is a numbers kind of guy. Like imagine someone who really likes math, multiply that by 15. He likes to see the big numbers pop up on the screen. You know that when you're in a fight with him, something explosive is gonna happen.
He kind of is like the organizer of this whole thing. I want to say he's like the leader out of the game, where Baron is the shot caller, he's the leader in the game.
Don't even keep going. We got what we needed. We need to get back and heal.
Baron is more than the shot caller. Often he's in the shadows and people don't notice him, but he's the one who really turns the tide of the game.
Baron is sort of our guru in that he probably has the most experience on the team.
In the little circle in the middle, you take a lot of damage from that, but the outside is not really that much.
It's invisible to other people what he does like over voice chat and things like that. And he always seems to have really good timing. I'm not sure how he does it.
We're about to get two. So just keep pushing.
Alex is kind of like our team memer, but he's always there just to, break the ice with his jokes.
It lightens the mood. It kind of changes it from, this is business, we're here to practice and to win, to like, oh, we're just a bunch of guys who are here to win, but we're also enjoying every moment.
So funny story, when I was a kid, I used to not get internet. I got 30 minutes of internet access every single day, but what I always did was I was like preload all of these Flash games, and I get started playing these Flash games all the time. So my love for games started at a young age, trying to hide it from my parents.
It was great. It was fantastic.
One of the co-presidents of UNC Esports posted kind of a call to arms for Heroes of the Dorm on Facebook, I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'm ready for this.
We're doing Heroes of the Dorm. Just because I heard of it before, but I was like, that's what this is?
It's really fun to brag about, like, hey, I'm busy, I have to practice for my national video game competition.
It's definitely cool to be part of a team, and it's just fun to compete in general.
1, 2, 3, go Heels!
A lot of us didn't know each other beforehand. We're trying to work as a team as we become friends.
When we play together, we see what each other can do. Like in game, we're like, oh my gosh, you just popped off.
It doesn't really matter if we win or lose.
Everyone works together. No one fights with another player. We all kind of just work together to try to get the victory. You're unanimous in Ziva, Alex.
Thanks.
And so it's less about complaining that the other person missed their skill shot or didn't follow up in time, and more about enjoying what esports has to offer.
Signing up for this, I never would have thought that I would be sitting down in this room with an interview crew around me, but yeah, here I am.
I think a lot of my family was like, wow. I never expected something like this to come from you playing video games all the time.
I think a goal in the back of our heads is to make at least the regional championships.
I think we have a good chance at making a good run.
Other teams just don't have the chemistry that we have. In the end, friendship saves the day. I hate to be cliche.
It would just kind of mean that a group of people who didn't really have a lot in common before, they got together and worked towards something greater.
Even though if you're new, as long as you work hard at it and practice together and try to actually go for it, you can achieve whatever you set your mind to.
It would just be such a cool feeling to know that hey, we just started something for fun and we actually made it here.
To do good in the one thing I proclaim to do, it would mean a lot.
I've done this my entire life, playing video games, and now I have something to show for it.
Just like the name of the tournament, I'm trying to be a hero of the dorm.
Wow, what a great bunch of guys. I love seeing these behind-the-scenes pieces every week. Really iterates the social aspect of gaming. Getting to sit down at a desk with your laptops with a bunch of friends playing games, that's some of the best parts about collegiate esports.
Absolutely, that's a huge way to build camaraderie. UMC is also a big-time basketball university, so they understand the benefits of that traditional sports aspect to hang out, to talk throughout the game, and have an edge in an otherwise online competition. But I also really like the two-prong approach of leadership that UNC Hots has. Baron with that smooth baritone, hanging on to the shot calling during the game, and then Anthony gets to help out and organize things outside of the game. I really like that.
Absolutely. We actually got to sit down and talk with Anthony Lee a little bit more. He is a Taekwondo veteran. Let's hear what he had to say when Heroes of the Dorm Atlantic Coast Region returns.
I feel like I have to compete with somebody or something all the time. When I stopped competing, I kind of picked up video games then.
Welcome back to Heroes of the Dorm Atlantic Coast Region.
Next up, we're going to meet Anthony Lee, a Taekwondo master. We'll find out how he brings that sharp skill and focus in martial arts to the Nexus. Let's see what he had to say.
Taekwondo, it kind of means the way or the art of using the hand or feet. I'm currently a 4th degree black belt. It's taken me about 15 years, and it's been a large part of my life.
We start a long journey before we find that Taekwondo is really one of the best fit for Anthony. It kind of day and night changed Anthony's life.
When I was 2nd grade, they went to a silent auction, and they won the auction for a free kind of trial class for the Taekwondo and stuff back in Charlotte.
I think, hey, that will be great for Anthony to learn some martial arts discipline, right? Also the after-school exercise. That's why we start with that program Anthony introduced to the Taekwondos. Become family tradition during the summertime. For competitions, AAU Taekwondo is kind of hosting on different state, different city. And from there, I kind of in the bottom, he gradually learned and getting better and better.
At first, I wasn't really too good at it. I kind of got beat up a lot because I was always a shortest, smallest kid. Luckily for me, the instructor that I first worked with, she kind of figured that I had a kind of talent or flair for that. So she really recommended me to stay. It was a really great environment, and everybody was really supportive.
I find it great for Anthony because Taekwondo really challenging him, right? Not only physical, mentally, and the way that he's thinking is very different. So I think influenced his whole life.
I feel like I have to compete with somebody or something all the time. it kind of translated to when I stopped competing. I kind of picked up video games then too. Yes, that kind of is like a replacement for me. I've always played games and I've always wanted to kind of like prove myself to be better than other people. And it's kind of the same thing with Taekwondo. Like at first, you know, when I did it, it was just because, you know, my parents wanted me to. But it turned later into, you know, wanting to show that, you know, I'm just as good as everybody else.
It's really awesome to play with him because you know that when you're in a fight with him, something explosive is going to happen.
Anthony is the man who makes things happen. He's the guy who's always organizing and pushing for everyone to practice. So if I have any questions about logistics, I can definitely talk to him.
I'd always talk to him about what we should like try to have people do or what they should try. But I definitely think he's like one of the stronger leaders on our team.
Being in a leadership role or being a leader, you know, if you really want to get something done and you want to get something done really well, you sometimes have to just kind of take charge.
Taekwondo again is helping on leadership. So because he earned the trust from the local school, I thought that's probably put a lot of influence on his mindset. Play a lot of games together, but only if he fulfills his duty. I say, hey, 3 hours academic exercise stuff, then you arrange your time. Once you've done homework, it's your time. I have no restriction after he fulfills his duties.
So he's always kind of encouraged, you know, like, you know, go game, go play, you know, when you're done with your work kind of thing. You know, he's always been there for me to support, you know, pretty much whatever I do. You know, and he's always trying to, you know, help me and assist me if I do need it.
He's now coaching. He's a master instructor. Assuming he will be moved on to 5-10 years from now, winning couples competition, then can share his life experience and skill to the greater community on esports.
So your eyes should be on the target the whole time until you've hit the target, and once you finish, your eyes can follow through, okay? But not before, only after.
My former coach, she asked me if I need a job, and I was like, yeah, you know, I need a job, and pay for tuition, stuff like that. So started teaching the next day, and you know, I've been here every day since.
Legs up and down. Ready, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Typically teach around 3 to 4 classes a day, starting from 4:30, and then if I'm not teaching, I'm assisting.
How many times do I bend my knee in front step kick? Yes, 2 times.
I think sometimes when I come in and I'm just feeling, you know, dead tired and really stressed out, when I see all the kids, when they come up to me and just so eager to learn, it kind of makes me want to also, you know, do my best as well. So I kind of ignore how tired I am and I try to do my best for them, and I want to come back and keep giving back to the community. A lot of it, I think, is like a lot of like patience and discipline. I think that carries over to a lot of the competitive side of games, because sometimes you want to do things a certain way, like you want to organize a class a certain way, you want to execute a play a certain way, and it doesn't turn out right, but you just gotta roll with it, keep on going, and you know, move forward with that.
Anthony Lee, to me, embodies what it means to be a competitor in Heroes of the Dorm. Taekwondo is no easy skill or task to master. Anthony is a 4th-degree black belt that's played at the Junior Olympics level. That kind of committed drive and ambition is something that's going to be a big value to his team.
Absolutely. And one of the things I love is the contrast between sort of his goofy, fun-loving personality and that discipline that you know comes with years of focus and competition. I think it'll be a great asset for his team.
You know, I can't relate to that. I'm always serious. I never joke around at all.
Never. That being said, I think his dad had such a huge impact. We talked about it earlier. Having that you know, using video games as a reward for him, I think is something fantastic.
Yeah, it's something my parents did. I definitely appreciated that. I like to play video games myself, but you got to have that hard work. This is college after all.
Absolutely. And speaking of video games, we have our matchup, what you've all been waiting for, UNC going up against Pitt. When we return, here's the Dorm Atlantic Coast region.
I definitely feel like a little bit something when I'm walking down, like looking at all the old buildings and stuff, you know, have been there forever. You can kind of feel like there's been so many people here before me that have walked these halls and walked these pathways. You can kind of see like the age on the buildings. So you're just like, wow, I'm a part of this prestigious school who's been here, who I think was like the first public university. So it's like just interesting to be a part of that and be part of that like legacy. You're representing something bigger than yourself. You're representing the kind of the school and all the people here that's at the school. Today we're facing Pitt. I think one of the things we're trying to get better at is, again, just learning more things about each map and timings for getting like certain mercenary camps. I think that's something we're kind of continuously trying to improve on, which we will as we play more games, and especially if we're playing against these other organized teams. We're just going to play how we usually play. It's nothing really different. Every game we try our best, and whether we win or lose, as long as we give it our all and try our best, I think that's what mostly matters. Remember, try your best. That's the most important thing, and it's time to grow. And we can show them that even though we might be lower and not the best, we can still beat them. Yeah. So you ready? 1, 2, 3.
Go Heels!
All right.
Hello and welcome back to Heroes of the Dorm Atlantic Coast region, where we are now joined by the one and only The Source. It's good to have you with us.
Good to be here. Excited for the game.
We like to call you the professor. What you got in those notes, man? You got any secrets for us?
There's a couple of interesting strategies these two teams might pull out, but we'll see whether or not they decide to use these things now or save them for later in the tournament.
Absolutely. We have our matchup here, UNC going up against Pittsburgh. This is going to be a pretty interesting matchup here as we take a look at this roster from North Carolina.
UNC is a new team, so I think that could actually work to their favor in a big way. Normally, a more experienced team has an established meta, things that you've seen before. But if you're new to the game, you can carve your own destiny out and find a new way to play the game.
Yeah, there's plenty of ability to hide strategies to keep things off the board and only really pull them out when necessary.
Absolutely, and looking across the way at Pitt, this is a team we actually got to see 2 weeks ago in a matchup. Really impressed me. They took a game off FSU, one of the sort of favorites in this region here. They almost actually took that series, so I have high expectations for Pittsburgh. But as we took a look at those cards, you saw some interesting little icons on those greens. Those are our roles. For those of you who aren't quite so familiar, let's break down exactly how roles work here in Heroes of the Storm. So we start off with Assassins. These deal high amounts of damage in short bursts or more sustain over time. They have few defensive abilities. They're all about getting in that damage.
Then there's my personal favorite, the Warrior. They usually get the party started when it comes to team fights. They like to engage, get those stuns, and set up big plays for the backline for those Assassins.
Yeah, then you have supports. These are the backline defenders of the team. They'll do everything from healing their allies to possibly body blocking for them, keeping the main Assassins and those kind of playmakers as safe as possible.
Absolutely, and to round that all out, we have our specialists. This is not a diverse class. They sort of fill in all the different gaps in between. They usually focus on pushing down lanes and getting down those jobs that the other players don't necessarily do, other heroes don't fit. So specialists are a lot of fun. So let's take a look at this North Carolina roster here and see exactly what heroes they drafted. Taking a look here at this, The Source, break it down for us.
So they've decided to go with a double mage composition. This is going to give them a lot of burst potential. The Nazeebo, being played by Kimikat, is a little bit different than your normal mage, a little bit more sustained. They've got a good front line with the Blaze and the Diablo, and then the Uther should round it all out.
This is a big vote of confidence because, like you said, they are going for a double mage composition. They'll really need to coordinate their burst abilities and their damage if they want to successfully execute.
Absolutely. I think this is a draft that has a lot of skill potential. If they can pull it off, it's going to be impressive, but a lot of ways to go wrong. If they can make this work, I'm seriously going to be impressed.
Yeah, there's the forever plan to get to 20, especially with the Nazeebo, especially on a map like this. But let's take a look at the other roster.
Absolutely. Let's take a look across the board here at Pitt's draft, the Pitt crew. And taking a look at this off the bat, I have to say, this is a very balanced draft.
This is definitely more standard, something we would see in a more traditional setting. They've gone for more steady, sustained damage, specifically that Gul'dan. He'll be able to hang out in the back line and do a lot of damage. But the Stitches is a really nice pick. Being able to pull someone out of position, he has a big hook, pulled you out of position. You could have a good time with that.
Yeah, there's definitely a number of ways to individually pick out a given target. Once we get later into the match, you bring out the Hanzo arrow. You've got the Fear from Gul'dan with the Horrify. There's a lot of ways to displace their opponents and kind of decide how they want to take the pace of the fight and dictate, when things start and when things end.
Absolutely. But you know what? There's more to this than just the drafts. We have to talk about our map, which is going to be Braxis Holdout. the Professor, give us a breakdown of exactly how this works.
So we've seen Braxis hold out before on previous episodes. We'll go over it one more time. This is a 2-lane map which has fighting focused around those 2 beacons. Those control the Zerg Wave, which are a set of creatures that will push down the enemy lanes for you. You have to control those upper and lower spots, so it takes a high amount of team coordination to be able to hold the whole map.
So that was our map. Those are our rosters. UNC going up against Pitt. Gentlemen, take it away.
Over on the left side, we have UNC. Anthony will be playing Jaina. Nazeebo will be played by Kimmy Cat. Uther will be played by Diacrin. Dirty Elmo will be shadow charging on Diablo. And Su Jin Jin will round it out on Blaze.
Yep, and over on the right side, over in the red, we've got the members of Pittsburgh Pitt. It's going to be QT Dassarin on that Sonya, Resmerd on the Lucio, Skyzer on the Hanzo, Zaxi on the Gul'dan, and Orbits will be playing that Stitches.
Really going to be watching for Orbits this game on that Stitches. He's going to be the one making the big plays for his team, getting those hooks, getting that initiation. So let's see if he can impress me, because Stitches, not an easy hero to play.
No, definitely not. It's a difficult hero to play, and I'm very questionable about when it comes into compositions, because you have to have a lot of faith that your Stitches player is going to land those hooks repeatedly.
Absolutely. Looking up at this top lane, seeing something we're not really used to here. We were kind of expecting a 1v1 matchup with Blaze going up against QT Dassarin, but we're actually seeing a dual lane. Halloran, what do you think about that? That's not standard.
They're a new team. They can definitely shake things up and play the game a different way. I know Sonya up top wasn't expecting to see 2 heroes up there. It's going to make the laning phase that much more interesting.
Yeah, and we had talked about what me and you had a conversation about some of these lane matchups. I saw that Nazeebo, and I thought about it a little bit, and I wasn't sure. This is what I was talking about with some of these unique strategies these teams might pull out. Running this duo lane gives you the ability to continuously pressure out the Sonya, and now it's now forced QT Dassarin into the jungle to pick up some of those mercenary camps to back him up, since his team is very focused on the strategy they have in the bottom. Push, push, push.
Absolutely, but grabbing those early mercenary camps is leaving this lane exposed. That's going to be a lot of free pushing getting done here by the blue side. That's not something we're used to seeing either. This game is far from standard.
Yeah, I really like that we see Pitt trying to get value out of this numerical matchup in their favor. They have 4 members down here in the bottom lane up against only 3 from UNC. They've done the basic math. They looked around and said, hey, we got to try to push while we can and make something happen out of this.
So what this lets QT Dassarin do by picking up this mercenary camp is back him up, and there's been changes over, the history of Heroes of the Storm to the way that these structures work. We can see that the 2 structures there are at about half health, those turrets there that control and defend the lane. QT Dassarin was willing to give up that health to be able to find himself a little bit of backup, but it hasn't really worked out for him because of the continuous pressure of the Nazeebo.
Both of these teams have a lot on the line here. This is week 3 of the regular season. They want to show up and have a big.
They have one of our towers down bottom.
Okay, we have their gate down up top.
They're about to get They almost have our gate down.
I can come down there if you want to keep pushing. Will up here and keep her up there. I'll head down to try to help y'all.
He doesn't have hook. He doesn't have
already.
hook.
We were really focused on the top lane, but the push that Pitt has put into this bottom lane is actually significant. You talk about that numerical advantage, and it's showing here. But neither side is putting a huge focus on the objective. Both are willing just put in that push the old-fashioned way.
Well, maybe you push to try and get some of those additional levels in. It's also worthy to note that Jaina was forced to back already. So that is how much pressure they are putting on this team. It's Zaxi on the Gul'dan. He's got a lot of healing coming in from the Lucio. It's a very safe situation for him to be able to spam out spells repeatedly. But because of that, it is now opened things up, and basically we're even. We're split. UNC has won the top lane. The members of Pitt have won the bottom lane.
I'm keeping my eye on Orbits throughout this game. He's that big gray guy with the crown on. He can throw that hook out and yank someone out of position exactly like that. Could be a big opportunity. Are they going to be able to get first blood? He's low. Jaina goes down.
Nice first takedown of the match here. You talk about it, and they deliver. That hook was on point. The follow-up damage was there. Skizzer is going to be doing a lot here on Hanzo, raining those arrows in. And in the top lane, we are witnessing a brawl between QT Dassarin and that Blaze. QT Dassarin's actually going to go in, potentially looking to get that takedown. This is scary, because Sonya is one of those heroes who can just go off.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to take that 1v1 if you don't have to. Also in that situation, Blaze had already gotten the job done. He'd done what he needed to do, which was to take that top set of structures. But now the Zerg wave has come in. That's probably why Sonya didn't decide to be able to engage. They just wanted to secure that beacon top, not overextend themselves. And now we see a big advantage coming in for Pitt. The members of UNC need to be careful about how they clear this. They've got a good team to do it with the Blaze, with the Jaina, but it's dangerous to step up when the members of Pitt are pressuring forward.
When you have two teams that are evenly matched like this, all it takes is one mistake to blow the game wide open. Jaina's the only hero to go down, and as a result, we see Pitt come away with the entire objective for this beacon. They've gone to the bottom port, and now they've turned their attention to this bottom keep wall.
Absolutely. If you look, this really shows the key difference between that 100-0 Zerg wave. This is a unique objective somewhat in the sense that teams can sort of share in the rewards a bit. You can actually have a bit of a middle ground. That being said, the hook's coming in once again onto Jaina. The follow-up damage not quite there. She's going to live a beautiful zombie wall coming out to secure this as the Blaze is doing a lot of work, keeping to peel that for that team, keeping them alive, Halloran.
I really like what we're seeing so far. Like I said earlier, I'm keeping my eyes on Orbits. Stitches hasn't landed too many hooks to pull someone out of position, but the times he has, it's had an impact. Even without landing the hooks, the respect that we see UNC have to give is not something you can ignore.
Yeah, that was a dangerous position for Blaze to be backing Vision. That forced Uther right there to need to step forward and to be able to help his team, and he took a bunch of punishment for it. They are now finally finishing off this Zerg wave. You have to destroy every single Zerg. It has to go all the way down to 0 before that ends, and that can kind of stall out the game. We saw them send the Diablo top to be able to match QT Dassarin. Balance that out a little bit, and they brought everybody they needed to down there to get the job done. It took them a while, and now there's a significant level advantage in favor of Pitt.
They're probably getting camps. They might be getting our camps, so be careful about that.
No, they're not getting their camps, so they're probably just back.
We might want to try to get some camps as well to help push us out and give us more XP. Yeah, try to get that camp down there.
This is something that UNC is going to struggle with the whole way through.
Yeah, they got the bottom camp on their side.
You said it perfectly.
And yeah, they're getting
Hanzo, yeah.
UNC has to be worried about right here. This is going to be a very important part of the game. And actually, we see the Akron Uther so low on help, and he's Casper the Friendly Ghost. That's going to be the second takedown of this game.
Absolutely. Nicely done there. The invade coming in from Pitt saying that, no, your camps belong to us, and level 10 is around the corner for them. This is scary. They are playing confident, and with a hero like that Stitches, a confident team makes big plays.
What was impressive about that was the timing in which they managed to do that. They captured both of their mercenary camps pretty much at the same time and knew they had the opportunity to be able to go and invade that because it hadn't been taken. It meant that the enemy team was a little bit behind the play, a couple steps behind, and that gave them the opportunity to find a bigger advantage and more so deny the camp in favor of the side of UNC. And now Pitt has done it again. They knew they had the opponents down in the bottom. They knew they had to go deal with that pressure. They steal another camp up in top.
We've seen Pitt take on the biggest and baddest of this region so far, and what we're seeing is the result of the confidence that comes with it. They put up a strong showing against FSU Crablegs, and they're bringing that momentum right here. UNC has to try to change things up, but a nice hook from Orbits isolates Third Elmo. Then we see Lucio going for the boop, further put Diablo out of position. They chase him down. That's 3 takedowns now for Pitt.
Absolutely, and this is only continuing to further their lead. We got a chance to talk to UNC, to hear from these players. They're a great bunch of guys, and they can stay composed if they can keep that energy together, if they can keep that friendship strong. They have a chance here, especially with a great zombie wall, forcing out the sound barrier. Beautifully done. Kimmy Cat with a clutch play. That was insane.
At first, I thought Kimmy Cat was like, oh, I think I left my stove on, guys. I should get out of here when all 3 members of Pittsburgh started coming after them. But the excellent turnaround with the zombie wall in the tower range did a ton of damage. Using that heroic to save Lucio's own bacon is a huge way to get back in this game for UNC.
Yeah, that did a couple of things for them. One, it obviously avoided the death, but the second thing, wait, is that a leap?
Oh man, that's the leap. The follow-up arrow is there. The damage onto Jaina. Beautiful takedown. The follow-up, the commitment instantly from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, and that is the side of UNC falling like dominoes. What a fantastic play from them.
Pitt has been putting their foot on the gas pedal from the time they loaded onto the map. They have not slowed down at all, even without sound barrier. It's not going to stop QT Dassarin from jumping in off the top rope and making big plays.
Kimmy Cat.
Oh, no.
That is not the place to be. Diablo is there trying to save that life, but it is not going to be enough. Diablo may have a chance of getting out of this, but I don't think that hope is high. I think that is going to be one dead Lord of Terror.
Yeah, he is not long for this world. And a couple of things just happened there in a very short amount of time. We now found that they've decided to go with the Leap, which is actually not the standard heroic for a Sonya player. That gives them 2 different go buttons, and really you could also say the Horrify is just this instant option for them to pick a fight. And, oh, Uther is in dangerous trouble. In comes the Blaze. What can they do with this?
Absolutely. The Ring of Frost is going down, going to connect onto one. The bunker falling in the middle of this, but not a whole lot of follow-up as QT, Dacerin, and friends are just able to back up and try and reset this fight. They have settled down in this bunker, and now the side of UNC is going in, but the counterplay, the follow-up, the Leap, the Horrify, the arrow misses. That's the first takedown. The APOC in the backline as well, trying to secure these takedowns. There's a beautiful Divine Shield with the Sound Barrier to round this all out. Somehow they are still surviving through this Halor, and this fight is insane.
We're seeing near flawless communication and coordination from Pitt, and it's paying off big time. 2 heroes down. Blaze and Uther hit the deck after an impressive team fight. QT Dacerin is the man without fear. He jumped in with about 30% health and made it happen.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Great coordination between the players. The moment that Sonya leaped in, Zaxi threw up the Horrify. That forces all of the enemies to run in opposite directions. They take a bit of damage. They cannot control themselves for a moment. They didn't manage to connect the arrow in there. That would have been icing on the cake, but it all kind of came together at the end.
This could be a huge turning point for UNC, however. They don't have to deal with any keeps being down, no catapults. If they lose one of these keeps, there'll be a lot more siege pressure that they'll have to deal with. They have gotten 2 takedowns now themselves. The proof of concept is there. If they can build off of that momentum, show that they know how to handle themselves in team fights, they could very well turn this game around.
UNC had some really nice specific plays in that team fight. If they can bring that together, if they can keep those coming, there is a chance. We saw a phenomenal Divine Shield during that fight. If we can see more individual plays like that, if they can come together as a squad, despite being behind, they have a chance here.
Now more than ever, we're going to need that smooth baritone from Baron to keep their team together, hand out those shot calls, keep them on the same page, and this could be it. Sujin Jin's looking for blood. He's going in.
Absolutely, but level 13 has not yet been reached, but they're taking the fight anyway. The Blaze is going in on that backline. Nicely done with the Leap. The follow-up is there. The Cleanse, nice job getting them out of there. The follow-up as well. Sonya is in the backline. The Ring of Frost not getting a whole lot of value. The Sound Barrier is getting dropped, keeping that team alive, but Sonya falls. The overcommitment from Pitt, and the turn is real.
Yeah, they're now completely out of position. Hanzo will put a little bit of pressure in there. Orbits is going to have to run away. Zombie Wall to block him off. There's good damage coming from Gul'dan, but there isn't enough. They need a little bit more to be able to execute that. Lucio will speed them out of there, but that's the first time we've seen Pitt lose a fight.
Good job.
There we go.
They got our camp.
Yeah, they
Okay, get back, get back. Don't even keep going. We got what we needed. You need to get back and heal.
Let's get these Goliaths.
And just be careful. We're gonna heal up. If we can win team fights where you can just get some kills without any of us dying, just don't even chase, because it's the slight advantage we got. If we can keep doing it, then we can start to make our way back.
It's getting a little aggressive with the way they're trying to instantly engage the fights. Using one Leap into Horrify combo, okay, that worked the first time. But the second time we saw that Cleanse come out, that stopped that entire play from spiraling out of control in favor of Pitt. They need to really open with the arrow first, use the Leap as a follow-up, and then the Horrify should be their counter.
Aggression seems to be the name of the game for Pitt, and right now they need to have the confidence themselves to continue to play that way. If they're able to close out a team fight before it effectively begins by getting a takedown early, this game could very well be theirs. But the longer these team fights go, it seems to be slanting in favor of UNC.
Absolutely. I think the big difference here is the fights that Pitt start. If that hook connects and they can get that takedown or at least get somebody out of position, they are at a huge advantage. But when this fight starts on UNC's terms, they have a big advantage coming in. If they bait out that Sound Barrier, use that bunker correctly, if they can deny the value from the Leap, they are solid in these fights, and they're hiding a bit, but they're spotted.
Skizer's going to see them, puts out a little bit of pressure. We haven't talked too much about the map objective, as the last Zerg wave was really kind of undercut by how all the fights were going on. This time we should see Pitt kind of back it up a little bit. Don't stop the aggression, but look to force the members of UNC to walk into them and give them the opportunity to engage the fight on their terms.
I think we're seeing UNC understand the weight and gravity of this game. A bit of indecision by hanging out up top, but not going down to clear at that bottom lane. That allowed the camp to make its way all the way to the core, but now Dirty Elmo's caught out of position. Has to use the Apocalypse to try to escape, but it's not enough.
Yeah, Dirty Elmo caught in a rough spot there, burning that heroic as well. And now the rest of the team is getting caught out, trying to save him. The Cleanse is there, but it's not enough. The Ring of Frost connecting. The stun is there, the arrow, the follow-up, the leap. This is a disaster. Pitt is going to town right now. They are getting these takedowns. The follow-up is there, securing this, and that is 3 kills their way. That is solid.
QT Dastrin is having the time of his life with these engages. Jumping in, using leap to great effect, getting backed up by his team. They haven't even had to use sound barrier yet. This is absolutely Pitt's game. Nicely done by them.
All of this really comes from a small miscommunication. Dirty Elmo was with the team. He thought that they had the opportunity for the engage, but just because of that, it gives the members of Pitt the opportunity to be able to open up the game.
Absolutely, and with that, that is GG. University of Pittsburgh, Pit Crew taking the matchup. UNC looked solid, but a few small errors just cost them their. Pitt capitalized beautifully.
Having that bottom keep taking down added catapults to the bottom lane, and as a result, more pressure for UNC to deal with. They hung out up top in the top lane right as that last beacon phase showed up for a long time, and that allowed not only the catapults but the camp as well to make its way to the core. By the time they realized that, it almost felt like it was too little too late.
It really felt like a matter of small timings in favor of Pitt. They had the right kill at levels 10 to 11 that gave them the Zerg control. They had that great jungle invasion timing. The fights, it definitely felt like the members of UNC, they know how to team fight, they know how to play it slow, they know how to find their advantages. It just seemed like there was a better map plan for the side of Pitt.
Absolutely. Those few small things, though, they just ended up what we call snowballing and ended up putting it in favor of Pitt. They're a fantastic matchup, though. Couldn't ask for anything more here for our first match of the day. Let's take a look at some of the exciting action from game number 2 on Dragonshire as UNC takes on Pitt. Let's get into it.
Actions right out of the gate. Brightwing gets dragged out of position by Dahaka. That's a sign of things to come for Pitt.
Yeah, these are some very different compositions. The Sylvanas allows for Snowball, the Dahaka allows for Global. Answer Global to that is the Brightwing. And we can see, as soon as the fights can kind of turn back, the members of Pitt, they have more than enough damage to get the job done. We also see a very, very strange strat with the Rexar. It's very uncommon. It makes sense on this map. It is a rarity to see, though.
Absolutely, and what I like from Pitt is the fact that they draft these big playmaking heroes, the Genji, the Dahaka, the Sylvanas, and they're heroes that can do a lot on their own, and we're seeing this here, though, capitalizing on those big playmaking abilities like that drag, like that follow-up, and really setting Pitt up for another early lead.
Map awareness is very important in Heroes of the Storm. We see Vala caught out of position in mid lane. Without seeing anyone on the minimap, it would have been a really good opportunity to back away there. But Pitt found them, capitalized once again.
Yeah, and this seems to be the tale of this game. Find that isolated pick. Find somebody out. And they've done it multiple times. A lot of this off of a heavy roaming Dahaka, a little bit different than what you normally see. Skyzer on the Genji. Just between those two, they have more than enough damage, more than enough crowd control to really set things up. Add in one more ally, and things will kind of, come into play for them.
Yeah, and despite a nice takedown there in the bottom lane, once again, Pittsburgh is able to control that objective, using this to push their lead here. Again, only 2 levels, not the biggest deal in the world, but they're making it work here, utilizing the Sylvanas trait. Halorn, they are looking solid so far, pressuring this keep.
You're getting full value out of that Sylvanas. Locking down those structures is going to accentuate the amount of damage you can do to that bottom keep wall. But then Orbis turns around, finds Hanzo caught forward. Skyzor breaks out the Ginsu knife. He goes in with the Dragon Blade, and oh no, the chips start to fall.
Yes, indeed. The follow-up is there. The damage is lined up despite a beautiful Emerald Wind. It is just not enough to keep the team alive. Brightwing doesn't have the biggest toolkit when it comes to that clutch saves, like we see that sound barrier come out. And now this is a keep under pressure with the Sylvanas aiding in this push. This looks scary. Pittsburgh is in a great spot.
Yeah, anytime you can open up the map when you have a Sylvanas, as you can see, the structure is colored this darkish purple. It means it cannot attack. It takes away its effectiveness. That opens up more dive opportunities. And we can clearly see, Skyzer, anytime somebody is crowd controlled, anytime somebody is unable to move, he instantly opens things up for an opportunity. And even then, he's going in onto this Rexar with no fear whatsoever, and is just making plays for the team.
And QT Dastrin with that sick burrow dodge as well. Cannot ignore that, dodging the Stormbolt, able to stay alive and help his team follow up this takedown, all while Skizzer is doing insane plays in that Genji. That man is a literal ninja.
He definitely saved Dahaka's life right there. Put on so much pressure to UNC that they couldn't follow up after Dahaka to get that takedown. But it leads to another march down the bottom lane with another Dragon Knight secured for Pitt. With this much stacked in their favor, this has to be game.
Absolutely, and they are pressuring in on this core, and with that, It is going to be good game. UNC, despite putting up a good effort here, is going to fall 2-0. A solid effort from Pitt, showing why they are one of the better teams coming in here. What a fantastic matchup. We're joined now with Kimmy Cat, or Baron, from UNC for a live interview. Baron, we have you on the line. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. Obviously, a very interesting match there. And we know you're the shot caller for your team. What exactly does being a shot caller entail?
So that's just like your team really looks to you to try to direct them in what they should be doing. And just like if they don't really know what they should be doing at the point, or if they have an idea, they kind of direct it to me, and I'm like, yeah, go do that. Or we kind of know we need you with the team at mid or at top or something like that.
Smooth baritone Baron. I got a question for you, man. As shot caller, Braxis Holdout's a battleground that can invite a lot of chaos as far as rotating from the top to bottom. As your team starts to fall behind, or how do you keep your team together and rallied in those situations where there's a lot going on?
It's very difficult at times because it's hard to like know exactly where everything's going. But really, it calls like big calls, so like ultimates can make a big decision. But in that game, it was kind of harder because we didn't actually get to the ultimates until later when we were already behind. But definitely just like being able to direct those certain abilities that'll help, and saying like, hey, I got this guy stunned. We need to follow up on this.
Awesome. So with picking a backline mage like Nazeebo, as well as being the shot caller, what do you find to be the best information to communicate to your team when you're not necessarily the person who's going to be the one starting up the fight?
Definitely saying, is everyone ready to go in, and like telling someone like Eason to go in, or to start the fight so that everyone can be ready to follow up. Definitely trying to chain together those crowd control combos.
Absolutely. You know, a super fun match. You guys mounted one heck of a comeback there, a couple small mistakes, but overall, definitely something to be proud of there. We're looking forward to obviously more from you guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us, and obviously good luck in your future matches.
All right, thank you so much.
So that was Kimmy Cat, or Baron, from UNC. Facing up after that loss, obviously seemed pretty composed. You know, it was a really good game, back and forth there. They managed to rally a bit, and you know, if that Diablo hadn't gotten caught, I would be curious to see how that game would go, because as Nazeebo gets to the late game, definitely a scary hero, but overall, really good matchup there from them. UNC showing some potential, and obviously, you know, we're excited to see what they bring to this tournament.
They've got 2 more weeks to go. They can definitely turn things around. I think we saw a lot of promise and potential out of them. They were very competitive throughout the early portions of the game, but when you have 2 teams that are evenly matched, one mistake can lead to big things. Jana going down at the beginning made a big opportunity for Pitt.
But with that, we're going to hop onto a short break. We will return with more. Here's The Dorm, Atlantic Coast Region.
I think we had a lot of good communication. I think I heard people talking and calling out things. I think that's always a good thing to have. Really, that and just everyone was still pretty calm, even though maybe things weren't going so well. And I think that's a really good thing to have. Like, no one's getting like super angry or anything. But yeah, and just, you know, still being good sportsmen, even if we lost. We still learn. We'll learn from our mistakes, and I know we learned today is like as we said, like things we can do better. I hadn't thought about those till today, so I think that's really important as well.
The results of this season, they matter, but you know, don't let it hit too hard. It's going to take, you know, a year or two, you know, a lot more time to kind of build back up. So I kind of want to enable all these guys. They're young, they're freshmen, sophomore. I want them to kind of continue and keep on going on, and you know, just improve from here on out.
Welcome back to Heroes of the Dorm, Atlantic Coast Region, where we just saw UNC fall 2-0 up against Pitt in a close matchup. They showed a lot of potential, but just couldn't quite cinch it out.
Yeah, it was great to hear from those guys, learn a bit about their stories. They had some interesting strategies, a little bit more fine-tuning, just refine them just a bit more, and I think they'll be better off as they get into the rest of the season.
I agree, but we have 2 more weeks in this 5-part series. Next week, we feature the Ramblin' Wreck from Georgia Tech.
And a heck of an engineer. Yes, that and so much more next week when we return with Heroes of the Dorm, Atlantic Coast Region. We'll see you then.